Well, hello.
Hello, hello. We're Fuzzle.
How's everybody doing? Yes, I'm Sean.
And I'm Eric. Thanks for
And this
tuning
is our
in.
first podcast, yes.
Yeah, we're kind of figuring this out as we go, so thanks for tuning in. And this is something we're planning to do semi-regularly to give you a little bit of insight into our process, learn a little bit more about us, and just kind of talk music. So,
yeah. We're bandwagoners. We had to start a podcast, it's the thing to do.
That's what everybody's doing these days.
And so we're going to do that.
Exactly.
We thought it would be a good way for us to share just our ideas on music, our the ways we draw inspiration, and just be a way for us to learn about new music from other people, hopefully too, and keep the musical universe growing, especially with synthwave, because we're big fans of that.
Yeah, definitely. So a little bit of background about ourselves. So Sean and I originally met back in junior high, where we both independently we discovered that we both played saxophone in the in band, which was pretty cool. So we've kind of always been around music growing up. I myself have played guitar and started playing bass in the last 6 years or so. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, I started on the saxophone back in middle school. I think we both had the same band teacher, Mr. Al Adams, right?
Rest in peace. He's a good man.
Very big inspiration to many people. I know that in the Manhattan Beach, Maricosta music system. But I started on saxophone and played in marching band. I actually did a year of tuba in marching band, so I got my bass chops that way.
Yeah.
But I started on guitar about a year after saxophone, so I was about 13 and started doing some lessons at a local shop called Dietz Brothers in Manhattan Beach. And I had an 80s metal guitar teacher who had the big hair going, and this was early 90s, so he was still rocking that. He just asked me what I wanted to learn, so I started learning a few Green Day, Nirvana songs and picked it up from there. And kept the interest going, and mostly guitar after that, not as much saxophone.
Yeah, and I was going to ask, what was the first song that you learned on guitar, or the first songs that you remember specifically?
It was "Come As You Are" by Nirvana. I think same as many people.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of those simple single-string guitar songs.
Yeah, for me it was definitely "Come As You Are," maybe "In Bloom," I would say. Maybe before that, the good old learning about bar chords was great.
Mm-hmm.
And then 1979 by Smashing Pumpkins. That was pretty good.
Oh, yeah. I was just really wanting to learn Green Day. That was the whole reason I wanted to learn guitar, because Dookie had just come out, and we were watching, the video of them on Beavis and Butthead. It was just like, oh, yeah, I want to be in a mental institute playing the guitar right now.
I mean, that's some formative stuff for, vocal harmonies. Dirnt on bass was a big inspiration for me, like his melodic approach to bass lines. It's all this stuff that I didn't really appreciate, outwardly at the time, but I've realized, in the time since, how much I brought that along in kind of my own approach to the instruments and what have you. But
yeah, you got to give props to Green Day where it's due, because they did mold a lot of our ideas about music for people of my generation, at least. And even now, because they're still around, it's just not. I don't like music as much now, but
Yeah, but it had a time and place in our journey for sure.
It did, yeah. So, and we kind of knew each other early on through just kind of a mutual friend. My neighbor was your friend, and we would sometimes hang out over at his house. But we never played music or anything like that back then.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of formed our own stuff independently, and originally got together and played in a band in 2017, which is kind of when we realized we're like, damn, we listen to a lot of the same music, share a lot of the same influences. Sean had posted on social media that they were looking for a bass player in their band, and I, reached out. I mean, we knew each other, so it wasn't a total cold reach out, but it worked out for a bit. And then after a few months, I moved out to Arizona for a job, and so that quickly came to a close. Flash forward
Dissolved
to
very quickly. Yes.
yeah, yeah, and flash forward to 2020, pandemic hits, and we're just working from home,
We're lost. Yeah. We don't
lost,
know what to do.
lost without a cause, and
Yeah.
and Sean posted another video on social media. You may be sensing a theme up to this point, of him playing a brand new cover song, "Can't Get It Out," which is a great song, and it was just him singing with his guitar, and I was like, well, I'd like to add bass to that, and so I did, and that led us basically just at that time, I guess it was probably just a one-off of like, hey, let's just try to record this.
Oh, we thought in the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, and then we're like, well, that came together really quick. Maybe we should do that again, and then things just kind of took off from there.
Yeah, I got some guidance from you as far as some audio interface stuff and just some basics as far as digital audio workstations, and we were off to the races really quickly. Within a couple of months, we had, I don't know, 2 or 3 songs already finished, and it was snowballing from there.
Yeah, I mean, for a bit, we were even doing like a song a week, which was, it was like we were just cranking out music. Like you had a nice back catalog of some songs that you'd kind of written, or musical ideas or things that I think fed that machine pretty good, that we just fired it up and started producing. And like I had produced some music in the past, but definitely not at the frequency or the level at which we're doing it now. Like I was familiar with like GarageBand and things like that, and the kind of the concept, but this has been a good learning experience for me, just to kind of work on my production chops and just doing all sorts of different genres and ideas and things together.
I think that at least for growth, it's in the last year, it's been a big growing year for both of us as far as musically, vocally, and production wise for you. Because I mean, you can track our progress if you listen to our catalog over the last year and a half. You can hear where we've made improvements and where we've didn't know certain things in the very beginning, but it's very visceral as far as listening through and hearing how we've just evolved over this last year and a half. And we're excited to show the new stuff that we have, because it's a continuance of that evolution, and we think you'll like it.
If you don't mind us saying so a little bit. Yeah, no, it's been fun, and starting in GarageBand and eventually graduating to Logic, I think has been a really nice adjustment for us too. Like for the first year, basically, we did it all in GarageBand, and we were kind of pushing against the roof of like what was possible, and I think that was kind of a big leveling up. We both had to learn quite a bit about how that process worked, but really enjoyed the process and kind of seeing how that evolved and what all's possible with new plugins. And I don't know, I didn't even know what
Anything.
what sends, audio sends and stuff, and buses and auxiliaries were at that point. So learned a heck of a lot just in the last year and change, but it's been awesome. So,
And I knew even less than that, so I was just following your lead.
no, but I think the dynamic works really, really well. Like you've mentioned it kind of in the indie music feedback Discord, but like I think we have a really good kind of process where one of us, or usually you, will come up with a really great like melodic hook or riff or like an idea, and then we can kind of quickly build around it, which in the case of our new song Ethereal Material, that was one where it kind of started with like a drum and a bass, and then you had some great melodic ideas. And Quinn's making her first appearance in the
Quinn will always make an appearance.
She makes her presence known.
Oh yeah, all the time. That Ethereal Material melody, I like that one. It's one of the songs where I'm just trying to make a really hooky MIDI synth part, and it just came across really communicable, just good melody, flows, and you want it to be simple, but you don't want it to be robotic, so you got to just find those little things to throw it off. So that and also Lakitu Party was kind of one that I did like that too.
Mm-hmm.
they're just very hooky. So that's kind of, I'm always looking for a really strong hook. So if it's not strong, then you got to keep looking.
Totally. And that's a good segue into something else I think that's we've embraced, which is this idea of just trying a bunch of things, a very iterative process of like just one of us will have an idea, we'll say like, yeah, do it, try it, let's see how it goes, and just you know just try it, see how it works, and if it
It's
works, you keep it. Sometimes you don't even end up cutting stuff until later because you get to another point and another better idea comes along, and it kind of takes 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 precedent over the previous idea or other things, or you strip some ideas back, but it
And then, or
it
you
works.
completely abandon the first thing, create something that's kind of based off it, then realize that that first thing works as a texture in the background, and you come back to that. There's just so many things you can always be doing. I mean, with the way that you cut and mix and produce music nowadays, it's endless. So, I mean, for anybody that's just at home can be doing it, which is, what we're doing. And we're trying to um, hopefully inspire other people to do that too, because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is a labor of love, and we're
Hmm.
enjoying it very, very much. Yeah, maybe let's talk a little bit about kind of what how do we start the process, like what that inspiration is, like what we've been listening to like a lot of new music and things that kind of tends to, at least from my side, spark some ideas, like understanding
Hmm.
how certain artists have achieved certain things in songs, and it's like, hey, that's a really cool drum idea, or I like that effect that they used on this thing, and that kind of can set things in motion. What about you?
I I like that a lot when I'm hearing something that's spurring. Like it sounds different. Like what's some of the new songs that we listen to? Like Thought Bings has a really good single right now that just has a really cool beat vibe. It had like this wintry vibe feel to it, and it's just like everything about the song fits to a certain theme. So when I get inspiration to start, I'll usually start a lot of the time, hopefully with like I like white noise. It's actually one of my favorite things is to just be in the shower and just have the sound of the shower kind of like formulate into like resonance and kind of your ears and have your mouth open and make like little sounds like oh and I don't know. It's kind of just like having sounds evolve out of like nothing. That's kind of where I come up with like initial simple melodies and then I
Hmm.
kind of flesh them out after I get out of the shower and play it on my MIDI. So
That's great.
that's a lot of the time that's where a lot of my ideas come from.
That's cool. Yeah, mine. I definitely have trouble kind of very clearly crystallizing ideas in my mind. I'm much more of a just do stuff with my hands, like playing a bass or playing a keyboard or playing something until something interesting comes out. There have been a few times, and I think I've mentioned it to you, where it's like, oh, I had a very clear vision of what this sound was, or that what this hook was going to be, but like that's pretty few and far in between. Like you definitely have a stronger, I feel like, vision for a hook or something, in advance, where it'll come to you. It seems like it's like a vision quest.
Yeah, that's when you're tapped into the universe, though. You're
Yeah.
entangled with the energy, and yeah, you're in that flow. Um, I feel like from even when you'll give me an idea, something like we send a start track back to one, you to me or me to you. If you send me, say, a bass track, if I hear that, um, it's always something to complement that I'm trying to approach it with too. It's cool to make songs that have guitar and bass just following around the same thing, but I need it's always it can follow along with that, but there's got to be something that makes it unique to stand apart from it.
Hmm.
There's always got to be some uniqueness about the parts that you make. Is that's at least how we try to incorporate it too.
Hmm.
So if it's too basic, it doesn't have to be something complicated. It can just be something like a little texture or a little extra reverb here and there, or just a little hammer on where you wouldn't have normally done it. But it's got to have your signature on it.
Yeah. A little bit of ear candy, some uniqueness, just something that's, yeah, signature is a good way to describe it. That's cool.
Hmm.
Yeah. The other thing that I think is fun too is that, at least where I find I invest a fair amount of time, is I'll just have a small idea for a riff or a little idea for this or that, and we just kind of drop stuff in a folder appropriately titled random ideas, and
Hmm.
we have this backlog of I mean, at this point, it's probably hundreds of ideas. And it's like in the case of Outerstellar, that was one that had been sitting in that folder for months, probably, of just like a little simple hook idea that then eventually evolved into something when it's like inspiration struck, and it just took off at that point. And it's like sometimes it's just right time, right place. It resurfaces, and you never know. But
It turned into an epic cinematic, interstellar journey type of. We could make it into a movie one day. We might.
you never. So if Warner Brothers, Legendary Pictures, if you're watching this, hit us up. Let's talk.
Yeah, we'll do the score.
Exactly. But that's another thing is like when some of the soundscape in the Thought Being song that you mentioned, like the snow. I love that kind of stuff, and so we kind of tried to embrace that in Creature in the Corn a little bit, to use a little bit of. I mean, that one was definitely a little bit more to not corny necessarily, but definitely a little more on the nose than like some texture.
You went there.
I went there. Yep. I mean, it's a campy Halloween song.
Yeah, we wanted to give a Friday the 13th vibe.
That's it. Yeah.
80s.
Campy is probably a better term for it.
Campy. Yeah, campy for sure.
But using sounds and other things like non-instruments in the mix to kind of build a profile. I mean, we do that at the beginning of Outerstellar too, where there's like some sounds of like wind on Mars and other stuff like that. So, yeah.
And the countdown guy.
Yes. Who looks a lot like you.
Did a really good job.
Yeah, looks and sounds a lot like you, but
he had a strong timbre in his voice. Yeah.
Strong jawline somehow, but.
Well, on that note, for Ethereal Material, this is our new single.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that it gets out there and you guys give it a listen. We put some good time into it, and it's one that we're happy to release for the beginning of this year.
Yeah, and there's more coming, so stay tuned real soon. Follow us on social media, Fuzzle Music everywhere you are, and fuzzlemusic.com. Yeah. Thanks for listening.
And we love you.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right. See you guys.